Welcome to the Playbook for Youth Sports, the podcast where we go beyond the field to explore the business side of the game. I'm your host, Jennifer Peacock. Today, we're talking about one of the biggest challenges facing clubs and event operators, admin overload. From managing registrations to handling parent communications, it can feel impossible to stay on top of all of it. Joining me is Tyler Kreitz, CEO of Focus on the Field, a company dedicated to helping youth sports organizations run like pros. We'll talk about the professionalization of youth sports, the growing demand for operational support, and how outsourcing admin tasks can help clubs focus on what matters most: coaching, community, and the kids. Let's get into it. Tyler, welcome.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thanks for having me.
So I wanted to start with outlining what the problems are that you solve in this space. So if you give me like the nutshell of what you do.
I'll do my best, and I'll try to be brief. But the main problem that we identified when we started the company were like the merging of three separate problems. One is you had this professionalization of youth sports, which has been starting since the Little League World Series started going on TV. And that was, you're starting to see this professional industry starting to take form. And in doing so, as these things got more polished, the expectations of parents started to rise. And you combine that with a skill set in coaches and volunteers, their abilities to deliver on that professionalization is being outstripped by the demand from the parents. So you have these two things coming together. And then you have all these tools coming in that are trying to make it easier in theory for these volunteers, coaches, et cetera, and parents to administer these sports programs. And it just, all those things combine to create what I call like an admin glut that is hurting sports organizations. And that admin glut is like, let's solve that. Like, how do we solve and make it easier for coaches to coach, parents and volunteers to direct and provide direction and provide sort of leadership while still making sure the professional organization runs smoothly. That's kind of like what we've been fighting for, is the admin glut, the admin monster, like all these things that are circling around the youth sports experience that need to be handled.
So I have heard a lot of pushback kind of in the industry that youth sports should not be professionalized. I personally don't agree with that. I think there is a huge benefit of professionalizing it because, like you said, parents expect it anyway. And you're paying for a service. So if you are not getting what you expect that you're paying for, that's a big disconnect.
I'd agree with you. And also, let's be clear, it's like not professionalizing the kids, but professionalizing the organization. At one point, schools were independent orgs, all thought the independent schoolhouses back in the 1800s before they started to become more professionalized and education and national education became a thing. It was a completely different landscape back in, 150 years ago. I'm not saying sports are going to be the same route in having a professional and having a entire like department of sports in the United States government, but the professionalization of the delivery of the service is not necessarily a bad thing. There are bad things that can come with it if we're not careful about it, but professionalizing who's delivering, who's coaching, who's providing the experience so the kids have a better experience, that can be and should be a net positive.
Yeah, I totally agree. So like your primary focus is supporting like at the admin level. I mean, you're agnostic of registration platform, right?
Absolutely. So our supports that we provide are completely sport and software agnostic. Really what our tagline is, we do the work that you don't want to do. It's like there's a Venn diagram of our services that cover registration, communications, general admin, and managing the website and tech stack. I mean, those four areas touch on almost every sports organization in the country. Actually, I can say they do touch on every sports organization in the country, from large NGBs to the small volunteer-led recreational program. And so our services provide think of like an easy button for someone to come in and deliver and provide that that admin service without any training, without any sort of onboarding. It's like, hey, we'll just come in and do the work for you.
Well, I mean, and let's be real. The number one problem in any business, I don't care what it is finding people that work hard and know what they're doing. So being able to have you as a resource to come in and have the experience, the expertise, the know-how to operate at that level, to me, would enable a club to be able to scale and focus on the field.
It really rolls off the tongue. It's
Yeah.
and I have to admit it was our second name that we came up with, but it's a lot better than our first, so I'm not gonna tell you. What you mentioned, though, is, like, this is exactly what we do, and it's essentially you could take any sort of business that is evolved from a passion project. There are the people who want to deliver that service because this entire industry is built around people who are passionate about sports and want to deliver the service to the kid. We are just saying, "Let us do the business part of it for you," or like be that business employee for you, be that business admin for you in a real easy way. So you don't have to go and find people to come in and do it. Like have to come in, find people to come in and train and have employees. One of the other things we tell people is like, we're going to send you an invoice, but we're going to deliver you a team of employees. And we're going to deliver your team that's going to become part of your organization from beginning to end.
And then you also have marketing support, right?
Yeah. So it's going to be a real one-stop shop. We've added full website design. We've added marketing and social media services. We've started to partner with groups like Club Capital, which has an entire youth sports division for financial planning and financial accounting services. And where our expertise ends, if we don't have the right people or have the right people in house, we will find the right resources and put them in front of our clients. Because that's one of the benefits is like, we got to go coach, we got to go direct. Hey, I need a better uniform. Who's the best uniform provider you know? I need a better registration software. What registration softwares do you think are good? I need a communication tool. Which one should we use? So we are constantly in that arena looking for the best partners to work with and then putting them in front of our clients.
You need a good refund solution.
Vertical insured, you know it. No, it's for real. That's how we met. It's like, this is a very good solution. And actually, I was just on a call with one of our clients we have to follow up with to make sure that they get it all set up. But no, that's like why we exist, is to make sure that the coaches, the parents, the directors, they don't want to think about this. They want to put their time and attention on the kids and the parents and families.
And I think being able to support and enable at that level is honestly brilliant. When we first met and we were talking, and I think what we super aligned on is problem solvers, right? Like we both love to solve problems. And I was so excited about just all of the resources that you provide because I know how hard that is actually out there in the industry to find. It's just very, very difficult. When we talked last time, we were talking about a real life example of what you've experienced in the space from being able to help an organization grow and scale.
So there's a couple of them, and there's a couple different ones. Our first client, Alameda Lacrosse Club, was our first pilot, and they're still a client. And we've had them cycle through 3 different board transitions, and the club is maintained. And Alameda, in Alameda, California, great sports culture, and lacrosse has been new, and it had a very passionate founder who started it. One of the big things and one of the big scary points is what happens when that passionate person leaves. And the founder, Derek Wade, had us come on board for the initial pilot. And then as he left and then had to bring new people on, we were there to be that sort of operational backbone to get a new set of directors in place to help them keep moving. As they've tapped into this new leadership and new energy, they're going to be growing even more and more in the coming years. And I'm excited to see it also because it's the town I grew up in and they got a great logo. And that's another cool thing I get to see.
Okay, so if I'm a club and I'm
Yeah.
looking for this kind of service, is there different like pricing tiers? Am I signing a year-long contract?
So right now, the client, their standard service for a club is starts at $11,000 for the entire year for admin services, and that covers admin, communications, registration, and managing the website and tech stack. And that goes up to 200 players. Then it scales at $50 a player up to 500 players. Then after that, it's $25 a player. So it just scales as the organization grows. We also have clients and organizations come to us with specific projects. Hey, I need to move from one software platform to another. Can you help me? Hey, there's a social media and marketing push we need to do. Can you do that with us? We do that as projects for them.
Right. And then are you dealing with like the actual parents or issues that they may have? Because I would anticipate that that would be um, a challenge if I'm a club and I'm wanting to outsource this, but then the parents are calling you. I don't like my coach. I'm not getting enough
So
play time.
that's actually real. That's one of the first things we do is take over the admin or info at email inbox. We offer phone support, but I'll be honest with you, there's only one client who actually has us use it for inbound phone calls. Everybody is just so used to submitting things through either email or now chatbots and text widgets. I would say upwards of 90% of our inbound emails that we handle are very FAQ related, frequently asked question related stuff that we just handle. straight up. And that's what clogs a club's inbox. How do I do this? How do I order my uniform? Where do I go? What do I need to do? And we can handle that in our sleep. That's something we take care of, no problem. And when what we do then for the coaches and the directors, so when a very specific question comes in and it goes to the info or admin email inbox as opposed to President or Coach Joe or Coach Ann, we will, if that email comes, it's like, hey, why is my kid not getting the playing time? Take that email, give the response to the parent right away. Hey, we hear you. I got your email. I'm copying Coach Joe or Coach Ann on this email, and they're going to get back to you right away. Coach Joe, here, by the way, here's their email. Make sure you see below. Be sure to get back to them. And that does two things. Number one, filters out all the stuff that the coaches don't need to see or the directors need to see. And two, when you're an upset parent and you want to hear something, and I say this as a dad, as a sports dad, and someone who both is a coach and also has kids who are playing on other teams. All I want to hear is just someone to say, "Hey, I hear you. You bet. You bet. I hear you. I'm going to get someone to talk to you next." And that generally will solve the issue. And then the parent and the coach can have that email conversation directly.
Very good. Okay. Well, so now question for you. If you could give advice to a club that is doing okay, they're comfortable, they're stable, they obviously want to grow, they want to keep their costs in check. What is the advice that you would give to a youth sports organization that really doesn't know if they need this service, they want to grow, but they're just trying to look for some type of guidance?
My advice is if you do not have an operational calendar, it's something as simple as a spreadsheet with like months with the days and like I call them tent pole events. If you don't have an operational calendar built or like at least rough draft, do that today. Do that tomorrow. Because what that allows you to do is to allow for you to get ahead of all the planning that has to come for these events that come around. So take an hour, just jot down on a spreadsheet, on a Google Doc, somewhere, what are the tent pole events that occur during your year? And by tent pole events, I mean tryouts, registration dates, first practice starting, first tournament, registration ends, those types of things. And how many registration periods you have. Do that, put it on a calendar. And then as you do that, you are able to backfill certain other things that you can go in that are the secondary effects that have to go into the calendar. But at least get that calendar in place. The second thing I would do is if you do not have your financial books in order, if you want to know if you can, people say, oh, I don't know if I can scale. I don't know if I can do this. Well, it's like, great. Do you have any sort of P&L, profit and loss statement, where you can at least attribute where your expenses are coming from relative to where your costs are coming from? Sometimes people see revenue, but they don't understand their margins from that revenue may be negligible relative to the margins that come from a less revenue producing aspect or thing that they're selling. And I give you a great example. Travel is a huge expense. Sometimes if you don't know how much your travel costs are, you need to look into it. Travel and tournaments, if you have a club that goes to any of those things, are such a massive expense. It's really important that you understand where they're coming from.
What's your opinion on clubs providing player evaluations, feedback to their players and the families on like a consistent basis?
So I will tell you, I am a huge proponent of this. And I say this from experience. One, prior to doing focus on the field, when I was running a large lacrosse organization called Advance, one of the things that we implemented were player evaluations that we gave to parents. And it was the tools weren't as great as they have today, but the response we got from parents was over the top. They loved it. They looked forward to it. It became a thing. Fast forward, now they have all these different tools out there. I think it's something that every club should do, not just because they should, but because it's great for honestly, it's great for what parents are looking for. My son plays for the local soccer club here where I live in San Carlos, Redwood City, rides his bike down to the park, plays for the club. I love this club. I'm such a huge proponent of it. And part of it is because the club and the coaches at the end of each season will give a report card on the elements of what they're doing on the field, not just the physical aspect, but the mental aspect. And it's wonderful because they bring each club, each kid almost like for a parent teacher conference, and they, give 10 minutes after practice. And it's going back to the whole professionalization of sports, of youth sports thing I really think youth sports is following an education model as it's going to become more and more professionalized for the industry, if not necessarily the kids. And being able to provide that feedback makes a huge impact on parents because really the way I view sports is sports are just another classroom to learn life lessons different in a different area than you would on, say, learning how to study for a chemistry test, or it's more analogous to learning how to perform in a drama club or in a play and putting yourself out there. Sports have this similar effect. And if you can have that feedback to parents of like, hey, here's how your son or daughter have performed and how where they need help with mental resiliency, where they need help with how to respond to adversity, where they need help with beyond just, their lateral movement and change of direction, but how they play well with teammates. That's a huge life skill that everybody needs to learn going in, like, and it's going into the future, obviously going into the future, but it just, especially with the way things are going with all the different AI and screens and everything, having this ability to know how your kids actually interact with other people, because that's what sports is all about. That's invaluable.
That's why we have them play, right? Like, we have them play sports because of the life lessons that it provides, and if you're not measuring it or giving any feedback.
Feedback is the number one thing. It doesn't have to be a measure. It doesn't, everything doesn't have to be a measurement of where they rank, but sometimes it's feedback is key and where they need. And that's what you want to hear from your coaches. And it's in the clubs that do it and do it right. There is a huge value add, and what it costs is your time. It costs your time, but it will, I think if you do it right, it will raise your retention levels to heights they haven't been seen before.
I mean, huge point. Huge point, because I think the clubs also need to remember that really, truly, it is a business and the parents are paying for a service. And if it's not ever, if there's no feedback or nothing is measured, what are you paying for? Right? Like, because at the end of the day, youth sports teaches children to grow through pushing and testing boundaries, right? So, Tyler, in this industry, is there anybody, author, director, club that has influenced you and made an impact on your life?
Absolutely. Actually, there's two people in particular who've had a big impact. When got into this industry back in 2017, there's my friend of mine, Noah Fink, who was one of the guys who helped start Adrenaline Sports, which is a big tournament provider, an organization and gear provider in the lacrosse industry. Sat down with him and he reminded me, said, Tyler, this is a lot of great, it's a great industry, a lot of fun. When you get into this, just know it's really small. So don't burn bridges, just play nice. People like to think they're big time, but they're not. And it's still a small thing, and you're working with kids. So play nice and you'll do well. And it was the best advice he gave is like, just play nice with each other. You're going to compete, you're going to do things, but play nice with each other. And the second person and book, I would say, that's had a huge impact. Has had the pleasure of meeting Linda Flanagan, who wrote the book "Take Back the Game: How Money and Mania Are Ruining Youth Sports." I actually have a copy of it up here. Can't get it right now, but I met her at the Next Up conference in League Apps, the League Apps Next Up conference. Subsequently started a connection with her, and she's been a huge influence in her taking the journalistic lens about what has been happening in the youth and amateur sports industry. And I feel incredibly lucky that I've gotten to know Linda over the years. She came out and did a presentation with myself and Pat Walsh, who started Next Level Sports out here in California, a massive organization, about how the youth sports industry is affecting parents. And we did it to a social organization that I'm a part of out here for young parents. Her book and her, again, Take Back the Game, I cannot recommend it enough. I think I'd literally wear shirts saying read this book when I walk around tournaments. It really opens your eyes into how the influence of money and outside interests have really affected what is going on within youth and amateur sports, for better or for worse.
Is it for the good, or do you feel like it's for the bad? Or both, I guess.
Both. Both. I mean, one of the things that she remarks is that sports by itself are not inherently good or bad. Sports can be a vehicle for good if delivered and operated by the right people. Sports by themselves are agnostic. And so that's why it's so important that they are applied and driven well so that they can be the vehicle for good. They have the potential to do incredible things if operated the right way.
It is why it is a vehicle for good. And I think it needs to be highlighted more. And I just love that we get to be a part of it. Both of us being in an industry that supports youth sports I really think exactly what we're talking about is why it is so beneficial, because of really the impact that it can make to so many lives. And it is not just about professional playing or even college playing. It is about the real impact that youth sports make.
I couldn't agree with you more. Couldn't agree more.
Well, Tyler, I have loved this conversation. I think it has been absolutely fantastic. And I love what you guys do. And I am so excited to watch you guys scale and grow as you continue to help other organizations scale and grow. And any resource that I can provide or help connect the dots, I would love that. I would like to ask one final question. If you had a magic genie wish and you could solve any problem in youth sports in 5 years, whatever resources, it's 5 years from right now, and you solved that problem, what would that problem be?
I don't know if it's a solvable problem, but the issue I would love to solve would be to educate parents who are just getting into this what the real industry is that they're getting into and how they can then educate themselves to understand what it is they're buying and how they should support their kids. Because you see the crazy parents on the sidelines at a regional tournament and yelling at referees, and you're like, this means nothing. So stop. And if you can educate your parents about how they can be great, to be great supports for their kids and model behavior about, hey, you know what? The ref made a bad call. Let it go. You got to move on. That would be the problem I'd solve.
I love it.
I think PCA is doing a good part of it. There's some good folks who are doing good work. And that's something that because I mean, I understand. I get why parents get upset. I understand why they're doing it. And, you invest a lot of money and you think something, but it's just their attention and angst is misguided.
One little tip on how to do that is at tournaments, you can pass out lollipops. And so then the parents have to suck on a lollipop, and it forces you, it's like a physical reminder at the beginning. And it is to remind you, keep your mouth shut. Like, put this in your mouth. Do not say a word. Support your kids. And you can support them the best by encouraging and being positive and closing your mouth.
You can't help it. It's your kids, but you just got to realize like this is not about you. It's about them.
I mean, that's the best tip right there. It's not about you. It's about them.
That's it for today's episode of the Playbook for Youth Sports. If you found today's conversation helpful, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'll be back soon with more stories and strategies to help you grow and strengthen your organization. Until next time, keep building, keep leading, and keep playing.